Hey, you're here with Coach Chris, and we're just taking a walk this morning, so I thought we'd just go live online and just down on in the bushland on the bike path. So there's people coming past, and there's rainforest around, and hopefully it's not too bumpy to look at. We'll see how we go. So I wanted to catch up and speak to you about trust. Trust has been really the foundation of everything that I've been doing locally and internationally in terms of helping build cultures. If you don't have that foundation of trust, then there's every other issue is really stemming out of a lack of trust, right? And so I wanted to speak about where does trust actually come from? And I want us to realize a couple of things, that the key sources of where our trust comes from has to come really from where our concept gets built. And so our concept gets built from experience. And so whether trust works for you or doesn't work for you is probably a representation of what your experience was like. So in your family, what was trust like? How did it work? And all of this has been programmed into you through your experience. Was mum and dad trustworthy? What does that mean to have trust with them? What can I say? What can I not say? What's okay to do? What's not okay to do? And all of that's programmed. And then when we go into another relationship with somebody else, we actually transfer all of those belief systems onto that relationship, whether that's accurate or whether that's not accurate. Hello, how are you? And so the problem with that is, some of those rules, if you like, some of those ways of operating actually don't match the next relationship. They don't match where we are in terms of our development. They don't match the context. And so then we find ourselves where the other person doesn't respond to us the way that we were expecting, or to fit into our little pattern of how this is all meant to work. And so then we get a little bit confused, and we don't feel like they're trustworthy, and we probably don't feel like they trust us. And it could well be the case, because some of the communication, both verbal and non-verbal, and the expectations haven't matched up with the things that we've learned communicate effective trust. So if we just consider for a minute that all of the concepts then have to filter back to one point. And so there has to be somebody somewhere that initially has set up how trust works for everybody, because our parents came from somebody, and so they learnt trust from somebody, and then our parents' parents came from somebody, so where did they learn trust from? And we end up at the point where it rests heaps on our faith concept, on our spiritual concept, on our awareness that we're in a spiritual world and that we're spiritual beings, because our concept of who God is and whether He's trustworthy actually affects the whole establishment inside of us of whether we think other people are trustworthy. And the whole economy of trust, the whole way trust works, is really founded on our concept of whether God is trustworthy, whether I can trust Him, whether I can take that risk to believe someone who's omnipotent, and whether that's a safe risk, whether He's going to come through for me, whether He's there, or whether He's a manipulator and a controller, a fearmonger. And there's this difference between religion and relationship. And so all of those things play into our God concept, our spiritual concept of how trust really works. And so all of these is really interesting to explore. And it's not like me to get deep, is it? But I think we have to go to the heart of these things if we actually want to sort out whether we're building effective trust or not. And if we're not building effective trust, the issue could be with the other person, and it could be with us, and it's probably both. And where we have to go back to is into our concepts, into our understandings, into our expectations, into our belief systems, and actually find the things that are illusions, the things that are not accurate representations of how trust works, how the dynamics of trust works, how how hope works, how reliability works, how what it means to come through for somebody, what it means to be there, be available, how to support, how to be tolerant, how to be inclusive, how to have the perseverance to go through whatever pain needs to be gone through, so that your relationship can develop the kind of connection that you need, so that trust really grows. Now, some of the research here is really interesting, and some recent research I read said that trust is built heaps through actually the really small things. And so some of those small things just really include like just the little conversations. You know, I was chatting with a lady yesterday in a group, and she said, you know, someone says hello to me in the morning, oh, tick box. Yeah, someone walks past and says, hey, how you doing? Oh, tick box. I'm like, that was such a great representation of how trust works for her, and an example of like, you know, the concepts and the expectations she has about what trust looks like and what it means, and how to actually do trust for her, and how to communicate trust for her in a way that she'll be able to receive, and it's probably also the way that she gives. Now, not everyone who's in relationship with her works that way, and so see if we can get away from the sun a bit. So the problem is, some people will feel like their relationship with her is full of trust, and other people might not, because their language of trust, their economy of trust is different. What they're looking for, what they're expecting is different. And so in this space, we need to really understand what it is that we really need for trust to work. And what we really need is to understand, how are we going in our relationship with Christ, and what is it in that space that communicates trust to me, and that I show my faith and my trust to him, because that's going to be the foundation of how it works with all of our other relationships. And actually, he's going to be the source of getting information about how this works much more easily than somebody else, because you can just pray and ask him, hey Lord, how am I going in my trust relationship with you, and what is it that you want to say to me about how I'm doing with trusting you, and about my level of faith, and about my ability to be trustworthy, because he can speak straight into the heart of the situation in a way that no other human really can, and he can speak straight to our heart in a way that no other human really can. So this is a really good place to start. So here's my first activity for you: to spend some time in prayer and actually ask Papa, hey God, what's happening in my heart with regards to trusting you, and you trusting me, and what's happening there, and are there any blockers, and what are they, and where did they come from, and what are some of the things that are going great, and celebrate those things. The things that are going really great are always the things that need to be grown. And if you understand how strengths work, the whole idea of strengths is that you focus on the values that are working really great, and you keep building those because they're working. And as you continue to build your strengths, they even have this ability to cover over some of our weaknesses, because some of our weaknesses, you can waste a lot of energy working on your weaknesses, when really you could be focusing on the strengths, and as the strengths grow, it kind of like vacuums the weaknesses along, and they grow as well, which is really interesting dynamic. But yeah, some of the research suggests that it really works this way in the area of strengths. So ask Lord, like, what are the things that are going great? Really celebrate how that trust relationship's happening with the Lord. Really celebrate then in relationship with other people. You could ask him, how am I going in trusting other people? Who are the people that I'm not trusting? Why am I not trusting them? Or why are they not trusting me? And ask him to show you some of the reasons there. Then you can start laying down the things that are not going so well. Hey Lord, I can see that you're showing me as you have this discussion with him, I'm going to lay down some of the things that are not going so well. I can see that there's a trust issue in this space, in this space, in this space. I'm just going to lay it down. I'm going to lay it down at your feet. And I'm going to ask that what you did on the cross come and covers this space for me, so that I have the ability to go and walk into growing trust and being trustworthy at a level that I'm currently not at. Through your help and through your healing, through your ability to come and resolve issue, to redeem relationship. And so as you go through this process of just laying down what's happening for you in your heart, and then inviting the Lord to come in and fill your heart with the things that He has for you. Whenever we do this kind of work, where we go into the depths of our heart for the Lord to come and restore us, He already has all of the resources there for us. That's who He is. Like, you can't be the God of everything and have all of the answers if you don't have everything and have all of the answers. So